The Rebbe's Maamar Vata Tetzaveh, the last paragraph, middle of Eis Ches, the second paragraph of Eis Ches. Okay, so the last thing the Rebbe was explaining, that what's the sequence of the pasuk Vata Tetzaveh. To this, the Moshe Rabbeinu binds and connects the Eden to Hashem through revealing the level of Amunah. And then the Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation, okay, strengthens that Amunah within the Jew and through the level of Kosis. When is the primary level of Moshe Rabbeinu, when it's Kosis, and then it becomes the level of Mo'od. But Sarach, we need to understand that Rebbe has the Fibir, and now according to what we spoke before, in the Kosis Lamor, this Inyan of Kosis Lamor, by being pressed, you come to the level of Mor, is more connection Vata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael. It's more l'chayda connected to the fact that Moshe V'Ispashtus delay, the Moshe Rabbeinu and his Moshe Rabbeinu in every generation, Mekashin and Mechabnes Yisrael and Tov. The Chayda, according to this explanation, what is Moshe Rabbeinu's connecting to the Jews? Connecting the Jews to Hashem. Yet in the pasuk it says Kosis Lamor in connection v'yikhrei lecha Shem and Zayizach. In other words, look at this. The pasuk, according to what the Rebbe explained before, you have V'ata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael. Moshe Rabbeinu connects the Eden to Hashem. How? Through Kosis Lamor. But l'chayre in between that says v'yikhrei lecha Shem and Zayizach, which implies what is the Kosis for Mord, not the V'ata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael, because then the pasuk should have said V'ata Tetzaveh B'nai Yisrael Kosis Lamord. Here it's a V'yikhrei lecha Shem and Zayizach, which means by bringing the oil to Moshe, that's what causes Kosis Lamord. Not the fact that the Moshe Rabbeinu connects the Eden to Hashem. Okay, so he says in Tess, he says like this: the pasuk, the whole Maamar is based on, Vata Tetzaveh, but it's based on the pasuk v'kibel hayudim et sheichelu lasos. Meaning, as the pasuk says, after the story of Purim was over, after Haman was hung, after all those things, then the pasuk says v'kibel hayudim et sheichelu lasos, which means they finalized the level of Matan Torah. And as the Rebbe explained it to me, through the Kosis of Haman's time, they came to the level even higher than Matan Torah. Because the whole question is, Matan Torah, the Jews were on a lofty level. And by Purim, they're on a very low level, so the answer is Mesiras Nefesh. Right? The Kosis, that make more. But the Rebbe is asking now, if you look in the story of Purim, the Kibul HaYehudim didn't happen during the decree of Haman when they were Kosis. It happened after Haman's home was given to Esther, meaning the evil was transformed to Kedusha, then it came Kosis, then the Kibul HaYehudim. Then it's not from Kosis, because the Kibul HaYehudim should have been, according to the Maamar, during the time of Gzeiras Haman. When they were Kosis, then they revealed the Kibul HaYehudim. He says, "B'pashtus b'zman shela'achri anes Purim." L'chayr, it's after the Nes of Purim. L'shleima the Masha calls of Maamar. This the Tefri, the Rebbe writes in the Maamar that the Kibul HaYehudim is a sheichelu lasis, means shebi me'achas shveiresh kiblu ma sheichelu b'zman Matan Torah. That by Purim they accepted willingly. What happened by Matan Torah? Hugam nefi pashtus hakosef is l'chayda also, according to the simple meaning of the pasuk, that it was after the miracle, not during the kosis. So according to this, it comes out that Kibul HaYehudim has two aspects to it: during Kosis and after the miracle. Shnei Yonim, HaKabbalah Shoyse Bizman Gzeira, which was through Mesiras Nefesh, which is explained in the Maamar. And there's a second Kabbalah la'achrei anes de Purim, after the miracle of Purim, shinailis Yosef, which according to what's explained, is even greater than the Kibbal Yehudim that happened during the time of the decree. In other words, the Rebbe is explaining, L'chaira, the whole Maamar is based on the fact that through difficulties, through being cautious, you come to the level of Moed. And therefore this is even greater than Matan Torah. Matan Torah, the Jews were on a lofty level, but it was all revelations. And Purim is a revelation of the essence. Moshe Rabbeinu revealed Dordea, he revealed Das, but here is even a greater in your Mesiras Nefesh. But L'chaira, the pasuk saying the Kibbal Yehudim after the Mesiras Nefesh. Therefore, the Rebbe says we must say that there's two aspects of it. There's a Kibbal Yehudim that happened during the time of Mesiras Nefesh. Then there was even a greater level of Kibbal Yehudim after the miracle was done, when there was no more causes. And that is, according to the simple meaning of the pasuk, when does it say V'kibbal Yehudim? After the miracle of Purim. What?
What happened
after the miracle of Purim? Haman was destroyed, his kids were killed, Haman's house was given over to Mordechai and Esther. No, that's after the miracle happened. The miracle was that they hung Haman and the Jews were able to stand up for themselves. And then afterwards went even to a higher level of transformation of Haman to Mordechai.
But after Haman was hung, the decree was still out there.
Correct. But the Mesiras Nefesh was over.
Even though the decree was out there.
Yeah, because once the Jews had a right to stand up, nobody stood up against them.
Kibbal Yehudim is the beginning of the 1 year, correct?
Correct. But Lepel, it was after the level of the miracle of Purim. So he said, V'yeshleimar, he says like this, so it is also as far as Kosis. Like he said, through Kosis, through suffering, torture, you come to Moed. The Shnei Inyanim Bezeh, there's two aspects of Kosis. When the Yidden are in the level of Kosis. Like it was in the time of when the Friedrich Rebbe said the Maamar, so one aspect of Kosis is through the level of Mesiras Nefesh, through the decrees, previous Rebbe's time 1927, Haman, whatever, you come to Moed. And then the Rebbe says there's even a higher level than that. What is that? Even when they didn't have it good, they're not fakvesh, they're not tortured anymore. They're open. And he says, Gashmius, Ruchnius, El Hashem nimtsoim begolus. But the fact that they're still found in Golus, like it says, after the Nesa Purim, it was like Yehuda, Meisa'ed, V'simcha, V'sasim, V'ikor. Gashmius and Ruchnius. And not only that, Beis Haman Nasat Nitan LaEsther, which is the Maila of Isapcha, but the Gemara says, Akata Abda Dachashver Shana. But they're still in Golus. The Gemara asks the question, why don't we say Halal and Purim? Chanukah we say Halal, Purim we don't. So the Gemara answers three answers. Bottom line is, one of the answers the Gemara says is Akata Avda Dachashver Shana. Because even after Purim, they were still in Golus. Chanukah, after the miracle, they immediately were there. They rededicated the Beis HaMikdash. By Purim, it took a few years until the Yavesh allowed them to rebuild the second base. They're still in Golus. But even though it was great for the Jews, there was Eira, V'simcha, V'sasin, V'ikar, Gashmius, and Ruchnius, and Haman's house was transformed to Kedusha. But they were still in Golus. That level of Kosis that I was explaining Not because there's a decree against Torah mitzvahs, not because the Jews are broke, not because of, on the contrary, the Jews have it great, but what are they tortured about? The mere fact that they're in Golus. That causes is even greater than the causes of torture and suffering that happened during the Gzeir of Haman.
That's what we have right now.
Correct. Right. Because they're broken and oppressed from the fact they're in Golus. Va'idei causes the Yisrael mizeh shenimtzoim begolus magim la'amor, you come even to a higher level than before. And this is what the Rebbe is bringing out now. Nowadays, the Avodah is to reach a level of causes from the fact we're in Golus. The problem with today is people are complacent in Golus. Golus is good. I have a nice house, I have a nice car, I have a nice job, I have a nice family, everything is good.
Not after October 7.
What?
Not after October 7.
Especially after October 7 here in Galut, we are good. In Israel, they're all miserable.
Even after October 7th. So it's still not the same. October 7th wasn't a decree like in Haman's time or in the previous Rebbe's time. There was a decree against everything of Yiddishkeit and all that. But now the problem is, and this is what the Rebbe thought. So you have like this. According to this Maamar, you have Moshe Rabbeinu revealing the level of Das. There was no Mesiras Nefesh needed. But he revealed Kosas Lamar through being Das. He revealed Emunah in the Jew because they're a Jew. You have a greater level that the Rebbe is explaining in the Maamar, from the level of Kosas of more of Gzeirus Haman in 1927. And then the Rebbe explained there's even a deeper level of more of Kosas, complacency and Golus. And that suffering of the Jew from the mere fact that we're in Golus. Nobody's bothering you, not physically, not spiritually. You can do whatever you want, when you want, how you want. Nobody's stopping you from Yiddishkeit. But the fact that the Jew is supposed to be oppressed from the fact that we're in Golus, that brings out a deeper level of the neshama than the Mesiras Nefesh Kosses and the Dor Deya Kosses. It's even a deeper level.
There's no other way to get to the moral.
The ultimate level of more is only through causes of the fact being. The Gemara says there's the test of poverty and the test of wealth. Okay, and the concept is the test of poverty is not as difficult as the test of wealth. I don't mean poverty in a physical sense, poor. I'm saying when the Jews were oppressed, there was infinitely less assimilation than now when it's a free country. You know, everybody can do whatever you want. There's no problem. So the Gemara says, the test of wealth is a more difficult test than the test of poverty. So in the same thing spiritually, when you have a test of being tortured for Yiddishkeit versus the test of being free in complacency and Golus, that's a much more difficult test.
It's like an illusion.
Huh?
It's like an illusion.
Yeah. That's why the Rebbe was screaming many times, that people were saying that now that we have the Eretz Yisrael, you know, after 67 and all that, they started saying, great people were saying, it's a Schalta de Yula. It's the beginning of Mashiach. And the Rebbe was screaming based on the Rambam that not only it's not a Schalta de Yula, but the Rebbe said, whoever says it's the beginning of Mashiach is pushing Mashiach away.
Why?
Because it's complacency in Golus. It's basically, we have Mashiach already. It's starting, it's great. When we're in a deep Golus. That's even worse. And the Rebbe said many times, whoever says it says Chalta Gula now is pushing Mashiach further away.
Don't you say that just before Mashiach comes, things are very, very bad?
The darkest part of the night is right before dawn.
Right. So that's,
But what do you mean darkest? Darkest doesn't mean gzeiros against spiritual or physical. Darkest means somebody spits in your face and you say, oh, it's a blessing of rain. That's the complacency of Golus. Somebody is spitting you in the face with all these things, and you say, oh, it's Mamash Mashiach time.
What about the neshamas that there are in Ma'or? They have their own cuttings?
Their causes is different. Their causes is because of Bnei Yisrael's causes. It says, the Arizals, Tzaddikim, it says it's about the Arizal. It says, Shamna, Beganu, Gazalnu, Alchet, yeah? It's obvious the Arizal didn't do Shamnu, Beganu, Gazalnu. And the Arizal didn't do Alchet. You know what I mean? He didn't do the Chetz. So why is he saying it? So the answer, because he was in the Neshama Klali. He's in the Neshama Klali. So therefore, everybody else's thing affected him also. If there's a pain in the foot, the head feels it. Why should the head be affected by a pain in the foot? It's the foot. So why should the head be affected because there's a pain in the stomach or the foot or wherever? Because it's the head of the foot, it's the head of the stomach, and therefore it's one body and it feels it. So the Arizal didn't do a shamnu for himself. He did it because he was part of Klal Yisrael. That Oshamnu Megadnus. Okay, so he says now, the Inyan is like this. The fact that the Eden are broken for the mere fact they're in Golus, how could a Jew be oppressed when yesh lam archava begashmis uberuchnius? If you think about it, historically, there was never a better, Shlomo Melech Stam, I'm not talking about that, but there was never a better time for Jews, but financially, Gashmi is spiritually, than there is today.
Yes.
There was never such a time in history that Jews were not oppressed, and Jews were had Baruch Hashem. They weren't begging, mamish poverty of yesteryear, it was really bad. Okay. So he says, how do you have causes from that? So he says, because the real will and desire of every single Jew is shiagili elokus, that there should be a revelation of godliness. Va'ad, to the extent, shezeh gili elokus, this, that there should be a revelation of godliness, negeya le'etzem mitziyusei, is touching the core of the person. Similar to what the Rambam says, that, and the Gemara says, the guy had to do something. Rambam says it by a get, it's by korbanos, it's by a get, whatever. The guy had to do something. Halachically, he had to do something. And he said, I don't want to do it. But it says, it has to be, it has to be willingly. So the Gemara says, Kaifenei, best and beat him up until he said, I want to. So the Rambam asked, what type of want? I don't want to. I don't want to get beat up, but I don't want to do what The Rambam says by a get. The guy has to, the guy has to, for whatever reason, has to give a get to his wife, and he refuses. So Bezdin beats him up and says, okay, I want to. He doesn't want to. And the pasuk says you have to give a get willingly. So the Rambam explains that really every Jew wants to do what's right. The essence of the Jew wants to do what's right. The Yetzer Hara is trying to influence him to do something that's not him. The Rambam says every Jew wants to do what's right. Yetzer Hara, the Yetzer Hara is forcing the person to go against what he really wants. So therefore, when you beat up the Yetzer Hara, you can take off the cause. And now the guy says, I want to. That's the real Jew. That's what the Rambam says. Yeah, that's the real Jew. So the same thing the Rebbe says in Golus. The real will of a Jew is that should be a revelation of godliness. To the extent that it bothers the essence and the core of the Jew that Elokus is not revealed. And he says even more. This, that the fact in the time of Golus, there's no revelation of godliness, like was in Bizman Abayis in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, that bothers him. And he says, what it says in Yerushalmi, Kol mi shalei nivna Beis Hamikdash b'yamav, Yerushalmi, and the Rebbe also brings up Medrash Tilim, Yerushalmi says that any generation that didn't rebuild the Beis Hamikdash is like they destroyed it. Why? It's very simple. We say in davening in Yom Tif, why were we in Golus? Because of our sins. That means the second there's no sins, immediately the Beis Hamikdash is cause and effect. If there's no more sins, immediately the Beis Hamikdash is built. So the fact that we're not building the Beis Hamikdash today means we're sinning. So therefore it's like we're destroying it. Because if we would behave properly, the Beis Hamikdash would be here in a second. Yeah? So he says, especially when a person meditates, it's tam, I am not building the Beis Hamikdash. Meaning I am directly causing that there's no Gilui of Elokus. There's no revelation of Elokus.
Is there any insight what would be the reaction of the others when the Beit HaMikdash is restored?
What
like
would
the
he
Muslims, is there any indication how would be the
how the Muslims are going to think?
Pardon?
What the Muslims and Christians are going to do?
Right. Yeah.
There's a pasuk in Yeshaya, V'amdu Zorim v'rot zeinchem. The Zorim, meaning the non-Jews, are going to take care of the sheep of the Jews.
They will accept.
Of course they want. The Medrash says, we say in Halos Hashem kol goyim shabchu kol umim. Yeah, all the nation will praise Hashem. Halos Hashem kol goyim shabchu kol umim. All the nation. The Medrash says, if the goyim understood what the Beis Hamikdash did for them, not only would have they never destroyed it, they would have had armies and armies of goyim protecting the Beis Hamikdash. Nobody should ever do anything bad to it. So when Mashiach comes, they're going to realize it.
Wow.
So he says, in Mizeh Atzmei, this itself causes is a ingansens to traceled. He's all shooken up, which is the level of kosis. And he says even more than that. V'gam tshu b'dargel nailas Yosef, even if he would be on such a high level, shemer etzle gili alukus, that by him, he's such a great tzaddik, that the Churban Beis Hamikdash did not affect him in any way of Bad Gili Elokus. Beduma Gili Shayu Bezman, like the Rebbe writes in 47, it says, the Rebbe Lubavitch brings down the name of Rebbe Zalman Zesmer, said in the name of the Alter Rebbe, that by Rashim ben Yechoy, the Churban had no effect on him whatsoever. Meaning, by him, the same level of Elokus, which was revealed in the Beis Hamikdash, was revealed by him afterwards. It was totally irrelevant. So he says, even a Jew that's on that level, he said, Mikama kaim, mizeh shebachlalu sa'elam. This, that in the general world, ein meir agilui, is not revealed, mochach is showing, shigam agilui shemer etzlei, that even the God granted by him, there's no churban. But the fact that in the world there's a churban, there's a destruction in the world, and Elokus is not revealed, that means that his revelation of godliness is limited, because there are places that doesn't have it. So automatically it's limited. Because when Elokus is revealed as is, infinite, then it's revealed all over. Because if there's a place it's not revealed, that's a limitation. If there's one place in the world, even a far out corner somewhere in Yehupitzville, that godliness is not revealed, because the revelation, even in the place where it's shining, is limited. The Alter Rebbe brings down in the Maamar, it says in Tikkun Zayar, it says, even if there will be one tzaddik in the generation that did tshuva properly, hayabah Mashiach. Mashiach would come.
So you don't have to do tshuva, they are all clean.
What does tshuva mean?
Return to God.
Okay, that's it. There's nothing to do with sin. You can be on the highest level. You can be Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu said, I have to turn away from here to go there.
Is it correct to say that in Galut, if the situation is too much pleasure, or there is no katit within it, there is something wrong?
Say that again.
If something is too comfortable, or there is no katit, there is some kind of a clip or something wrong, there is something wrong.
You know, parents know when little kids are playing and there's too much laughing, very soon there's going to be crying.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Very soon there's going to be crying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. He says, "K'aydei tshuva shleima mamshichin gili erin tabaruch habligvul," because through proper tshuva you reveal the infinite level, and gilu zeh is b'chol mokim. And he says, "Mizeh shein meir etzli gili atzmus erin itself." Again, you can have it great in Golos. Yes, everything great. Gashmis ruchnis, everything is unbelievable. But Elokus is not revealed. Unishper v'nitka kosos. Ukiyador, Valderech, he says, it's known, Shachela, thick, yeah? Chola equals Memtes, 49. Shagam Kshemasig Memtes Shari Bina. Even if a guy only means Chola is Memtes. There's Nun Shari Bina, 50 levels of Bina. A guy reaches like Moshe Rabbeinu, 49th level. It says in Sfarim he's still sick. Why is he still sick? Because Vatchasreu Ma'at Malikim, like it says in Tillim. Moshe Rabbeinu was a little bit lacking from Elokus. The Gemara says in Rosh Hashanah, because there was 50 levels of Bina, and Moshe Rabbeinu only reached 49. So he's Chayla.
What about picking up the washing machine?
But you have to do a price of eggs in China, yeah?
You should have
Zakubaru.